Welcome everybody, and today, we will address the aspect of relationship, and I would like to share my screen and talk a little bit. And I really welcome in the chat box any experiences, any questions that you would like to share. So I would like that this session should not be something that addresses your mind or your reasoning or your logic, but that it directly addresses your experience. And if you can relate to it, and as we go along, that's why this is not a lecture, but it is a sharing session where I would share, some things that come from my experience and see if you can relate to it or not. So, what are the problems in a relationship and how do we address them? That is the sharing that we want to do today. I think the most important of all problems is non-acceptance, which means we simply do not accept certain aspect or part of who the other person is. How can he do like this? Why did he not do like that? In short, why is he who he is? There the problem starts. Just think about it. Whenever you had a problem with anybody, was it not the first thing that came? Why did he do like this? How can he be like this? Why did he not do like that? Isn't this the basis of all problems with somebody else? So let us examine where this comes from. Where does non-acceptance come from? And we come to the answer that non-acceptance comes from expectation. See? Because I expect him to do like that. I want him not to do like that. Because he and she, I think it's a gender neutral term I'm using, he or she does not fulfill this or that. And therefore, I don't like him, or I'm angry with him, or I'm sad with him or her. Why doesn't he understand? Why can't he do this? I want this. So because I need it, I need him to be in a particular way. I expect that. And therefore, I am angry or upset or I'm sad or I will fight with him or I'm disappointed. Because I have a certain need from him to be or not to be in a particular way. Now we can examine, where does this expectation come from? And when we examine that, we see that the expectation comes from a perception or perceived need. It is how we perceive, our need. I am a very sensitive person, and therefore he should not hurt me. I am dependent on him, so he should not leave me alone. So because of a certain perception of myself that I am dependent or I am sensitive, I am like this or I am like that, and therefore comes I need this or I need that, and therefore comes because he doesn't fulfill it, I don't accept him. See if you can relate to this, what I'm saying. Don't just hear, or it's not a theory or a concept. It's just my experience. Maybe it is yours also. Where does this perception come from? Let's take it deeper to that. This perception comes from a pattern that is within us. This pattern can be a pattern of sensitivity or of dependence or need. I need somebody to take care of me. So the bottom line is, because I am like this, he should be like that. Because this is my pattern. So you can see the whole flow of non-expectance, acceptance, expectation, perception, and pattern. So how do we communicate? You can see we communicate only from our own perception. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why are you doing like this? From our point of view, from our need, from our pattern, from our perception. We only see the other one in relation to us. What is he fulfilling or not fulfilling? You see? And we communicate that. I'm angry with you because you didn't do like this or like that, because I need it. And how can you talk like that to me? And how can you? So our communication is also, you see, from our own perception. Let's do a small exercise, We all know this guy, right? Trump. So I'm going to ask you to write in the chat box any 3 words, 1, 2, 3, that describe Trump. Can you write? I want to read what you write. Three words. I need 1 to 3 words. Not 1 word, 3 words. So you see, you also can read in the chat box what people have written. Arrogant, fearless, powerful, straightforward, smart, selfish, impulsive, bully, cunning, sexist, insensitive, loud, industrious, positive, old, optimistic, haughty, authority. Can you see almost that no two people have written the same thing? Almost. Have a look. Disappointment, helpless, lost, crazy, rude, dictator, angry, ambitious, ardent, control, cunning, simpleton, self-centered, dynamic, racist, self-interested, dumb. Just have a look. Funny. Somebody says funny. Temperamental, power crazy, childish, hateful, narcissistic. Okay, it's good enough. What is it saying to us? That no two people even have the same view of one man, whom everybody knows. We all look through the lens of our own perception. You see? So who is Trump actually? It's just what we see. And what we see is what we like or what we dislike according to our own pattern. We only see what pertains to our perception. What is he doing or not doing that fulfills or does not fulfill our need? We never see who really the person is. Nobody knows who is Trump. I suspect including Trump himself, but that's another story. We only see what we want to see, you see. We project a lot of our idea to the other person according to our needs or according to our not needs. When you say to him, he's arrogant, he's selfish, he's cunning, you are only projecting your sensitivity. He does not care, he's selfish, he's bad, he betrays. So what you're saying is that I need the opposite. And therefore you only see that. That which pertains to your sensitivity, you do not see who the other person is. Whatever you project on the other person is your sensitivity. It's what affects you. It's almost as if the other person does not even exist. It is only your perception of him, your picture, your image. You don't even know who he is. So all the time, what you're doing is communicating with yourself. You're making your own mental picture of other people and talking to yourself. He's good, he's bad, he's ugly, he's arrogant, he's stupid, he's childish, he's foolish. All these concepts which affect you. You're not even talking or listening to the other one. The world is only viewed by your own perception and what you need and what you don't need and what affects you and what doesn't affect you and how can he be like this to you or not like this to you. So when two people are talking, actually they are talking to themselves, each of them. What can be the solution to this? The solution is pure listening. When you listen, can you listen to the exact words of the other person without coloring them with your perception? Not what you want to hear, but what is the viewpoint of the other one? Where does he come from? What is his perception? What is his pattern? What is his sensitivity? Can you start listening to that? And when you start to listen to the other person, really, you will see that he comes from his own pattern, his wound, his suffering, his experience, his memory, his view of reality, shaped by so many things. And when you start to do that, you see that basically he's your own soul in a different body, in a different clothes, in a different experience. His actions are colored by his patterns and his perceptions. If your soul was in his body, it would do exactly the same thing. But can you see what it is? And not always what it does to you or doesn't do to you, or what you need or what you don't need. Can we start to listen, pure listening to where he's coming from, and not only what affects you and doesn't affect you, what is good for you and not good for you. And then you start to see that he's the same soul in another body, in another clothes. And then you are able to connect to that soul, which is your soul, and beyond his patterns and your patterns also. You are able to see yourself in another being. And that is really empathy. And when you are able to see that, even in people who have hurt you or who have harmed you in some way, can you see that what they did came from their perception and their pattern and their view of reality? It had really nothing to do with hurting you or fulfilling or not fulfilling your needs. And when you see that, can you acknowledge it to that person? I can see where you're coming from. I can see where you got hurt. I can see your perception. Can you mirror that other person? Can you be a mirror for that one? Without judging, without wanting or not wanting, without taking it personally. And when you acknowledge, when you express that, oh, I can see where you're coming from, purely, then you open up the space in the other person to listen to you and not have to defend himself, because in that acknowledgement also is acceptance. Then you open up the space for the other person to listen to you and not fight with you. He sees that you are not judging him, that you are accepting, that you are seeing aspects of his being. You are seeing even deeper than that. How can there be a fight? When you acknowledge, when you empathize, and then there is the feeling of loving kindness. You empathize that his soul has been through so many things, you see. And you can empathize, and you can even feel a kinship, a connection, a love, and a wish for that other person to be happier, to evolve, to grow. Even the one who hurt you. Because then you don't see it as that he hurt you. You see that he was himself colored by his experience and his perception and his pattern. He was just being who he is. And he's suffering also, like you. Just be with that for some time. And this can change the whole relationship. The whole atmosphere of that communication can change. So beautifully it can change. The relationship can become so deep and so mutually beneficial from being antagonistic. You have no complaints against anybody. So just to summarize, how can we take relationship deeper? So first from non-acceptance, which is rejecting or judging or reacting, which comes from expecting or needing or our pattern, RE. You then graduate to listening, to observing, and to understanding. Really, the totality of that person, the package, not just aspects that affect you, the whole being. And then acknowledging, accepting, and responding, not reacting. By talking, by communicating, by sharing the journey, by empathizing, by connecting, and by loving. This is how a relationship can grow, can progress, can be so beautiful. Can be so beautiful. Can you relate to this relationship? But I want to talk about another aspect also. And that has to do with how do you relate to yourself. We talk now about relationship with other people, with other beings also. But how do you relate with yourself? You see, I went through some intense experiences also in the last few days, and I learned a lot. I felt a lot of pain. Something happened in my life, and I felt a lot of pain, a lot of grief. And I felt as if this pain and this grief has been caused by another person, by her action, by her behavior, by her attitude. And then I was in grief. I was crying. I was crying a lot. And at the time of crying, I realized that I felt this grief, which was the same grief that I felt when my father died. It was the same grief that I felt when my dog died. It was the same grief I felt when my cat died. It was the same grief that I felt when my mother died. It was the same grief I felt when I was separated from someone I loved. And then it came to me that this grief is inside me. It is my grief. It is my pattern of grief, my experience of grief, which is in me. It was there all along in various situations. So this grief, this pain, which I thought was caused by another one, was actually my own pain. It was only triggered by this one, but it's uniquely mine. So I decided to turn the mirror inwards and to become aware of this pain, of this experience of this pain, whatever it was in my chest, in my abdomen, in my head, in my thoughts, how did it feel? This pain, the totality of this pain. And then this pain became a kind of observable phenomena. I could take a distance and witness this as my own pain, unrelated to the other person. And therefore, I could use this opportunity and this crisis to become aware. And this awareness is a step to evolution, is a step to healing. When you realize that your pain is not caused by situations or people, but it is inside you, then you evolve. And I want to share with you that there are two signs of evolution, that you are evolving. And these two signs, I realized, are honesty, which is truth, and selflessness. Selflessness meaning you put the other person's happiness even above yourself. It can also be called love. When you are truthful, when you are true to yourself and to other people, it's a sign of evolution. And when you think less for you and more for the other, it's a sign of evolution. So how do you relate with yourself? First, you recognize, you experience, and you look within, you become aware. You recognize that the pain is yours and not caused by outside. You go through the experience by awareness, not blaming, complaining, or wanting to change the world, but to become aware what's your pattern and to recognize it as your own. And this awareness can transform you. It can elevate you. The ultimate way to reduce your expectation is to look into your own pattern. And when your pattern dilutes, when your expectation dilutes, when your perception that you are a needy one dilutes, when you find that all what you think you need is only your perception, then you are in a position to give rather than to ask, what can I get? What can I get? What am I not getting? What can I get more? Because deep within you, you are complete. You don't need anything. You think you need. Deep within you, you are Sampurnam, you are complete. Sampurnam means complete. Deep within you, you are content. Can you feel it right now? Can you experience that right now? That there is nothing you need. That everything is okay and in abundance. Can you have that experience right in this moment? If you come from this position, all your relationships will be great. If you come from a position of I need, then expectations, everything will start. Fights, quarrels, miscommunication. Can you relate to what I'm saying? I want to share with you something more. Like I said to you that I felt, the pain that I thought was caused by the other one's action. I realized that pain is my own. It's always in me. There's a deep pain in me. I could see it, I could feel it, I could become aware of it. Similarly, when we deeply examine pleasure, you see, we expect that the other one will give us pleasure. You see, he will love me, he will care for me, he will do this and do that, and I'll be happy. Or I'll win a lottery ticket, I will get big money, I will be happy. The pleasure that we experience. We feel this pleasure also is coming from outside. But if you look inside, you will see that the experience of pleasure, I'm happy, I'm laughing, oh wow, so good, fantastic. Yes, this pleasure experience is the same in every situation. Whether you achieved something, or whether you got a lot of love, or you won this, or you did that, or you traveled to a beautiful place, the experience is the same. That is your experience. It's not coming from the outside. If it came from the outside, it should differ from situation to situation. It doesn't. So just like the pain is your own, the pleasure is also within you. We think the external situation is the cause of pleasure. It's not. How can you feel a pleasure from something outside if it is not already within you? If it does not trigger the memory of that pleasure pattern within you. Similarly, any pattern of anxiety or grief, they are all similar, they are all within you. The same anxiety you experience in so many different situations. So the anxiety, pleasure, grief, they are all patterns inside you. The outside only triggers it, stimulates it. If you start looking at these patterns, becoming aware of it, they can dilute, they can heal. There's another issue I want to share with you. We often see or feel that the purpose of our life is to be happy and to feel pleasure, or to feel peace, or to be enlightened, or whatever it may be, all good things. And to avoid the opposite, whether it is pain or discomfort or disease. Can we recalibrate? Can we change our goalpost? What do I mean by this? Can we say that the aim of our life is not to have happiness and peace and pleasure all the time, but it is to heal ourselves. It is to discover ourselves. It is to find out, to know ourselves at many levels, to know ourselves at an emotional level, at a pattern level, at an experience level, and also at a spiritual level. Can we say that the aim of our life is discovery of ourselves? Can we see life as a journey to know ourselves? And if we see this, then pleasure and pain both become ingredients of our laboratory. We don't have to avoid pain and only seek pleasure, because pleasure and pain both can trigger this awareness of ourselves. They're both, in fact, pain is even a better guide to ourselves than pleasure. You know, somebody sang like this, दुख में सब सिमरन करे, सुख में करे न कोई, जो सुख में सिमरन करे, उसे दुख काहे को होई. In grief we all remember God, and in pleasure we forget him. And somebody says, if in pleasure we can remember God, why will we ever get grief? What does it mean? It means only in grief we have the stimulus to look within. You know, when we go to the crematorium to burn somebody, we understand the impermanence of life. We come to our senses that all this is so temporary. What are we doing? When we die, what do we really want to feel? Do we want to feel, oh, I made so much money, I had so much pleasure in my life, I became so famous? Is this what we want to feel? Or do we want to feel, I discovered myself, I purified myself, I became aware of myself? And what is the laboratory for this? It's our pain, it's our crisis moments, our problems in life, in relationships also. Can we turn it around and say, oh wow, we've got an opportunity now to look at our own selves. Let's do it. Let's learn and grow from this. Let's liberate ourselves in this lifetime. And when we die, can we die as peaceful, aware beings with a smile on our face? And not I won my argument with my wife or my partner. Is that what we want? That is what Harivamsh Rai Bachchan, in his famous Madhushala, he said, the man who gets pleasure in pain, he is welcome to the experience of life. पीड़ा में आनंद जिसे हो, आए मेरी मधुशाला. पीड़ा में आनंद जिसे हो, पीड़ा में आनंद जिसे हो, पाए मेरी मधुशाला. And when this happens, when we welcome pleasure and pain both as ingredients of our journey into ourselves, this changes relationships. Because normally when somebody hurts us, disappoints us, angers us, what do? We let it excite our pattern and we react by aggression or avoidance. Either we close up or start blaming the other person or blame ourselves. Our patterns come up. I am so bad. Nobody likes me. Everybody rejects me. Nobody loves me. He has done wrong to me. This is how we deal with it. Then we try to change ourselves or the other person with a fight, with a quarrel, or we run away. What is the alternative? The alternative is, when we see such a reaction coming, don't act on it. Wait, reflect. Reflect as to what that situation is triggering within us. From that recognition, put away your pattern and see exactly what is happening. Why is the other person doing what she's doing or he's doing? And then you can respond. But at first, it gives us an opportunity to recognize our own pain, our own pattern, and to not act from that pattern. How do you respond? To put yourself in the other one's shoes, to see from his or her perspective, to acknowledge that to the other person, to give them the opportunity to look at themselves. If there is space, if there's no space, don't worry. In a very gentle, non-judging, loving, kind way. If this is done as a reaction, look what you're doing. Do you realize you're doing this again and again? Do you realize you're so scared? Do you realize you're aggressive? No, 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 no. This is not going to help. It's going to make it worse. But with loving kindness, if you say, well, I can see this. Is this how you're feeling? In this way, two people in a close relationship can act as mirrors and facilitate each other's evolution. And what is evolution? Again, the two signs of evolution are truth and love. When you intend good for somebody else, when you come from kindness for somebody else, why would you lie? It's not possible. Love and truth are two sides of the same coin. Truth is the same as awareness. It is the same as inquiry. It is the same as witnessing. It is the same as acceptance. It is the same as clarity. And what is love? Love is also awareness and recognition that in some deep way, we are all in the same boat, fellow travelers in this temporary existence. Suffering, wounds and griefs and fears. Truth and love are only different descriptions or qualities of the same universal consciousness, or what you can even call God. You know, when they take people for the funeral, they say Ram Naam Satya Hai. What does it mean? The name of God is truth. Or you can even say Satya Hi Ram Naam Hai. Truth is the name of God. Because God is awareness, He is clarity, He is non-judgmental, He is peaceful, He is complete, and He is you. We are all truth. We are all awareness. We have to just purify ourselves of our patterns, of our perceived needs, our hunger, our starvation, what we think we are. Just become aware. Let's change our life to the journey into our truth, into ourselves. And let's help others in the same journey. This is a good relationship. Everything else is a recipe for conflict. Peace with others can only come when there is peace with yourself. Contentment with others and acceptance of others can only come when there is contentment and acceptance of yourself. I can't see any other way. And only when you are in this kind of truth, in this kind of love, in this kind of deep awareness, can you live completely in this moment. Each moment, if it is lived completely and fully, whether it is pleasure or pain, when it is lived completely with awareness and with truth, this is true living. Because the past and the future are only memories and imaginations. How you completely live the truth in this moment? Can you feel this moment right now? Completely. In every cell of your body, can you feel it right now? This is true living. This is freedom. This is growth. This is awareness. Can you feel it right now? There is nothing else, no future, no past. Right now, look into yourself. Can you feel it? Can you experience it? Not just think it or know it. Can you feel? This is the most potent, powerful moment that there can ever be. And that is why we can say it is now or never. Either you live now completely or you never live. You will never live. And living in the moment, living in the now, you are free. You are liberated. This is what I wanted to share. I wanted to share this from my own experience. None of this comes from my head. This is what I experienced. I wanted to share this with you so that it may stimulate your own journey. I accept all of you who you are. I love all of you who you are. And I wish all of you who you are, your own journey, your own growth, your own peace, and your own beautiful relationship with other beings who are also you. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let's take 2 minutes to just close our eyes. Clear all the thoughts from our mind, even what I spoke. Just feel our breathing. Just become aware of breath going in, breath going out. Relax. Feel yourself to be completely in the moment. Get rid of all thoughts, past and future, even present. Feel yourself to be complete. Feel yourself to be immortal, beyond time, beyond space. Just presence, just being, without any quality, any condition. Just being, pure presence, pure awareness, pure silence. You have no conflict with anyone, including yourself. Accept yourself who you are completely and totally. Love yourself first. Be proud of yourself. You are God incarnate. You are truth incarnate. Feel oneness with the entire universe. It doesn't matter if you're going to live or die tomorrow. Today, just now, be fully there. Nobody can disturb this peace of yours. Be sure. It's not dependent on anyone. It's yours. You are it. There's no distance between this and you. Gently open your eyes and let us go forward with this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajan Sankaran, for such a soul enriching wisdom that you shared with us. I think for me, it's a wisdom that I will carry moment to moment in my life. Thank you so much. We would like to now present to you Birth, which is a retreat, a 5-day residential retreat that we are going to be organizing in February. Birth is building immunity and resistance through homeopathy. It encompasses all the aspects of a human being, which is the body, mind, and the spirit, along with the community. It is a beautiful platform where we go deeper and deeper into layers that we have and start healing them. This process of healing is done through WISE, which is called Witnessing Inner Self Experience, which is based on homeopathic principles, and it has been developed by Dr. Sankaran and his team. We do drumming, we have processes like movement, painting, a lot of community activities that we do together. So I would like to encourage each one of you to be a part of this retreat and experience how it is to start, getting rid of these layers from within. Thank you so much.
What is life? What do we want? What are we doing here? What is it that we really see? What is healing? What needs to be healed?
What is the right age to retire? And I was very surprised because you did not even pause for a second. Your immediate answer to me was the only thing we have to retire in life is our ego.
Thank you so much, Shruti, for playing the video for us. I hope everybody has watched it now. So we are coming to the end of this webinar series of Sampurnam, and we really thank you all from our bottom of our hearts to be a part of this webinar series on a Sunday evening. It means a lot to us, and kindly follow us with Facebook, YouTube. We are on Twitter and Instagram. We'll have many more informative videos that will be posted from time to time so that we all heal together as a huge, large community. Let this place be a healing place where we all help each other to heal and grow within. Thank you so much to all the panelists, all the members, and the participants who have been a part of this series today. Thank you so much. Some upcoming webinars that we have is the 31st January on anger management, 28th February on cook along with Sashiji, 28th March, how to deal with stress, and 25th April will be music and meditation. I request, and these are happening on Sundays, I request each one of you to kindly be a part of this whole series and experience the transformation from month to month. Thank you so much once again. A reminder for the birth retreat is from 10th to 14th February. Thank you so much.